leading international charity is stepping up its efforts to tackle poverty and prostitution in India. The initiative is focused in Calcutta, which is home to millions living in desperate poverty. Generations of the same family often live on the streets, and many end up in the sex trade. The lure of the city attracts young people from the surrounding countryside, but these journeys often end up as the first step toward human trafficking and a life of abuse.
The guidebooks call it the City of Joy, a chaotic mass of humanity, home to an estimated 18 million people. In Calcutta, life's basic functions take place on the street. For almost a third of its population, that includes eating, sleeping, and living. For these people, the city represents a scene closer to hell than a vision of joy. The most vulnerable are the street children. Aid agencies believe they could number as many as 1 million. Their fight for survival knows many enemies, from hunger and disease to fellow humans. In the red light district of Sonagachi, children cower beneath filthy beds while their mothers entertain clients, fearing the day when, as young as 13, they too may be forced into prostitution.
My name is Shormila Kundu. I am 13 years old and I do not want my mother to do this work of prostitution.
It's a perilous life for street children and runaways. New recruits to the sex trade are constantly being sought by the pimps and the traffickers. Anila was just 9 years old when she ran away from home following the death of her mother. She met a woman on a train who took her straight to the red light district and sold her to a pimp. Her already tragic life story was to begin a horrific new chapter.
I
was kept in a house which had about 50 girls. It's quite a big house. They used to send me lots of people, lot of clients to entertain, and they used to beat me up. I used to cry all the time. So they drugged me. They used to give me injections.
Sonagachi Red Light District is a grim and disturbing place. It's difficult and dangerous to film here without use of undercover cameras or permission from a pimp, which is not easily obtained. What I saw was a parade of women on both sides of the narrow streets. Some very young girls were dressed up to look older than their tender years. With makeup, some could even pass for 16. Sex here is often violent and always cheap. These girls sell their bodies for as little as 30 rupees, around 40 pence, most of which ends up in the pockets of the pimps. The older girls hide their own children as they ply their trade.
I had to do various things to keep my daughter away from the room. Sometimes the madam kept her, sometimes my friends kept her in their room when they didn't have clients. And otherwise there's a women's interlink center there, which is evening crash, and so I put her in there.
The creche provides a place of safety for the children of sex workers. It's just yards from where the women tout for clients, but the youngsters can play and learn in relative safety here. Among their number are third-generation daughters of Sonagachi.
My mother was a prostitute, and she and I grew up here, and I was married off, and both her husband and my husband were also sex exploiters, and now I'm earning through this, and I have no embarrassment to say that. I am proud to say that I'm supporting my children, myself, and that my daughter is also not ashamed of me.
Aid agencies are trying to provide safe places outside the red light district, where the daughters of prostitutes can stay on a longer-term basis, with mothers coming to visit them.
Mothers were coming and they were begging us to literally to take them away from the place, because usually the children of the women in prostitution, they get inducted into prostitution at a very early age and they get trafficked. The women are powerless, so the traffickers and pimps, they have a last say.
The journey to Sonagachi often begins in a very different landscape 3 hours south of Calcutta. The Sundarbans, meaning beautiful forest in Bengali, is one of the world's most important ecosystems. Spanning the Ganges Delta across India and Bangladesh, it's the globe's largest mangrove forest and the last bastion of the Bengal tiger. It may look idyllic, but the Sundarbans are poverty-stricken and isolated, factors that make the youngsters who live here very vulnerable to child trafficking. Men arrive with marriage proposals or offers of good jobs in the cities, but the girls who follow them inevitably end up in the brothels of Delhi, Mumbai and Calcutta, their links with their families severed forever. With no electricity, few schools and little opportunity to make a living, the road to Calcutta can seem an attractive option. Aid agencies like GOAL are working to make the option of staying at home the better one. In the Sundarbans, they've provided a hospital boat along with medication, education and sanitation to improve the lives of youngsters and help them resist the lure of work in Calcutta. But for many of those who do decide to leave and head for the city, this is what lies at the end of the road. Those who escape the clutches of the pimps find themselves immersed in poverty. At Calcutta's vast city dump, the migrants try to survive on what others throw away.
So, Peter, the children here and the people who work here really compete with the pigs, the rats, the chickens for any scraps they can get, don't they?
Anything they can sell, any metal, any glass, plastic, paper, cloth, anything like that, just to earn a living. And it'll be the whole family that works on that. And here you have Dante's Inferno in this world, here.
Over 2,000 people work and live here. Many of them are small children. They pick through the litter like chickens, fighting with the rats for the choicest bits of scrap that they can sell in the local shops. The government doesn't want anyone to film here. Given the conditions, it's not difficult to understand why.
Living from or next to filth is commonplace in the poorest parts of this sprawling city. Dr. Shamir Chowdhury established the Child in Need Institute 30 years ago to rescue children from the slums and the street and provide them with nourishment and education.
There is a lot of slums in Calcutta, and there are also a lot of street children, and there are also people who live on the pavements of Calcutta. And definitely, if we add these figures up, they are quite high.
10-year-old Salma told me she steals vegetables from the markets to sell and sleeps on a railway platform. She survives by dancing for the eunuchs who perform at the station. The eunuchs pose no threat to the little girl, but many other predators lurk in the shadows. Leading the fight on behalf of the children, the Irish aid agency GOAL has spent millions of pounds in the region during the past 30 years, funding the various charities which protect about 50,000 of the street children. They provide hope for young girls like Shamila.
I want to go and stay in a hostel, grow up there and get a job and support myself.
But Shamila knows that if that doesn't happen soon, she may have to follow her mother and grandmother's footsteps onto one of the world's seediest streets.
The demand is growing larger for younger and younger children. Cross-border trafficking is rampant because there are borders, huge porous borders with different countries. And from these poor areas in those countries, girls are brought into India and through various porous borders. And from India, they're sent to various other countries also. So this is going on at quite a large extent.
In the Sundarbans River Delta, the protection of the region's fragile population of crocodiles and tigers is now well established. In the bustling city of Calcutta, though, there's still a long way to go to ensure the protection of the most fragile of its human population.
The aid agencies battle every day to reach what Mother Teresa described as the poorest of the poor. But the increase in demand for young children means the traffickers still have the upper hand. While other major cities in India are enjoying a booming economy, the people of Calcutta believe they've been left behind. Its massive migrant population prey to those who feed on the hopeless and the vulnerable. Ross Appleyard, Sky News, Calcutta.
That was Ross Appleyard from Calcutta, quite a story. Going back to the ports issue, let me say, as an American, Bill Kristol was right.